Good morning, traders on YouTube. Sorry I'm a little late getting up started this morning. It's been a little hectic this morning. Just by trying to bounce here. Again, right off the 8. Right off the 8 exponential moving average. Um, yep. Hey, good morning, Rick. Good morning. Hey, Jonathan. Good morning. Sorry a little late getting started on YouTube today, folks. We're doing a SPY super system trade here, right here, that we took. A lot of us took right here as this broke down below the 8. I've adjusted this chart now to have the 8 exponential on here, along with the 15, which is the red, and the VWAP. I can use these in combination. But we did take a nice trade here this morning. I took it. A bunch of other people took it. I don't know who else, how much anybody made on it. I get in on the SPY put for $1.77. I get out about 3 minutes later for $2.81. $104 a contract. Really nice trade. It came right down to the 8 exponential moving average and bounced on the daily chart. Hoping gold has fell enough. And you're hoping it's fallen enough. Are you long it, or you want to get long it, or is the gold trade again? This is what a little bit unrealistic enthusiasm leads to. Gold just ripping up here, and pop yesterday and down again today. It's bearish right now. I mean, it's bearish right now. If you're thinking it's going to bounce here, you've got some support levels, but you got to have confirmation that it's going to bounce. If you notice these candles right here, see how we had nice high volume candles? See this big high volume candle here? See, it was red. See this high volume candle here? It was higher than this one. It was red. There was quite a bit of selling in gold here, and so I don't know. Do I know how far it's going to go down? Of course I don't have any idea. But I'm not going to touch it long here. I'll tell you that. By bouncing right back up to toward the VWAP again. Frank, would I take a SPY call for tomorrow? Now, if the SPY confirms on the 5-minute above the VWAP and goes blue? No, not yet. You've got to be. This is what you've got to be watching on the SPY. In other words, am I bullish to take a SPY call overnight? The only way I take a SPY call overnight tonight is if the market was moving down from about 3:30 to 4 o'clock, but the market internals were moving up. Right? If I have market internals moving up and the SPY moving down, these are my market internals right here. Pretty weak today. See how they've been falling? Now just kind of chopping. Market's moving up, the market internal is moving sideways. I would need to see price action flat on moving down at the end of the day with a momentum, or with the market internals moving up strong. Because right now I'm looking at the daily chart on the SPY. Do I have any idea which direction this is going to go? Absolutely none. And just because the SPY moves above the VWAP, here's the VWAP right here, just because it moves above the VWAP in the 5-minute, that doesn't mean it's going to keep going. It could go up, maybe it can go long at that point, but again, you're going long, but you're fighting against a stock that's slightly down right now. All right, it's coming up just about flat. It's only down 7 cents, but it could reverse and head back down again this afternoon. So I have no inclination to take any SPY calls for tomorrow yet. Not at all. Merck, nice chap. Yeah, Roger. Ari pointed that one out. It's a nice one. Rancher didn't get filled in 80 on Mo. Even tried 78 and couldn't. Let me look at this. What's it going for right now? The spreads weren't that wide on it either, but it's kind of surprising you didn't get filled. Yeah, it's going for 73 now in this pullback to 64.30. Yeah, you probably want to go ahead and shoot for 75 and take 75 on it. Just to be safe. We still got 2 more days in this, but you don't want it falling down below $64. So I would take what I could get in the mid 70s. The ballpark guess, what percentage of my SPY super system trades are index ETFs and not individual stocks? I would say I do quite a few stock trades, but I would say my SPY super system trades, probably about 70% are off the indexes. Just a guess. Oh, you meant the SPY super system daily trade. Okay, Frank. Yeah, I mean, if this gets above the VWAP, it goes blue, and you get momentum here, you can try to take it. But again, you're trading against the market, all right? The SPY right now is down 0.3%, so you're trading bullish against a bearish market on the 5-minute. And you've got a pivot point right here that's going to be resistance for you. So that's what you got to be careful of. For me right now, the way this market's trading, I'm looking for a pullback again on the SPY or the Qs, and to try to take it short again. But I have to be really cautious because of the fact that it's so close to the 8 exponential moving average on the daily chart. All right, especially the Qs. The Qs are very, very close to it. That's going to be off the support. And on the SPY, that 8 exponential moving average is right now 667.31. All right, so about $2. So that's how much room you've got. That doesn't mean you can't make a lot of money on the trade. For sure you can. But you have to keep your in mind. You got to keep where your support levels are on the daily chart and on the 5-minute chart. SPY coming in here. Again, I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to trade against the momentum right here, especially when I'm so close to the VWAP. I'm into the 8 exponential moving average. The momentum's not great, but it is drifting up just a bit. So the Qs especially are too high for me to take. All right, see if we get any questions here. It's about just a little after 12 o'clock. MU trade. If you're buying coin, doesn't mean you're bullish on IBIT. And typically they trade together. IBIT is the ETF trust for Bitcoin. Coin is obviously it's a financial service company, but it trades. It's a crypto stock, and it's down this morning. But yeah, IBIT would be if you're going long. If you're going long, you would be bullish on it. But all the cryptos are down pretty hard today. IBIT's down about 3%. Coin right now is down about 7%. Oops. Mara is down about 6%. Riot's down about 8%. So all the crypto stocks are down very, very hard today. Grayscale, Bitcoin, BTC down 3%. So they're all down. Weekly ATM, Macy's weekly ATM trade. Is there any trade management for it if it moves higher quickly and the 18 puts lose a lot of intrinsic value? Those would be to talk about the short puts or the long puts. Do I have to skip a week to get more premium? No, I never skip a week to get more premium. The whole idea of weekly ATMs is to do it every week. I mean, if you look at the premiums on the weekly ATMs when you're selling them weekly, if you take a look at your monthly, say this just to do a comparison, look from month to month and see how much the premium you collect if you sold the monthly, and then add up the premiums you collect on 4 weeklies and see how much more it is than the monthlies. That's why you want to keep doing it. You don't want to skip a week when you do something like that. But the trade manager on Macy's, we did this one before. Is I think I get pretty quickly. I can't remember. But if the stock's moving up very quickly, what happens is if you're gonna sell a call at a higher strike price the next week, right? If you keep the same short call that you've got, if you sell a put and you have to sell a put at a higher strike price next week because the stock's moved up a lot, and you've got a longer term put, the distance between those two strikes increases, which means your risk on the trade has moved up a lot. So that you have to decide if you willing to take an additional risk by moving up to a higher strike when you're selling the puts, or do I want to take the profits, or do I want to sell the long put that I've got on, right, and move it up to a higher strike price to keep my margin about the same. And I have a video on weekly ATMs, and it goes into all detail on that. I don't really want to get into a lot of detail on it right here because there's a lot of nuances to it. But if the trade manager, if it moves higher quickly and the 18 puts lose a lot of extrinsic value, right? Which is obviously that's the money you're making on those things is when you're getting time decay on those extrinsic values. Apple's pulling back. Yep, sure is. When you take straddle triangles, are you typically closing both legs simultaneously? Most of the time, Ryan. Most of the time, I do. You can do that. You can leg out of straddles and strangles, but I don't. First of all, I've got too much other stuff going on. Okay, I'm running a room. I'm trying to get alerts out. I'm looking at all kinds of stocks and I'm answering a lot of questions. So when I'm up, like when I have this straddle on Altria, could I have sold the calls and kept the puts? Perhaps. But to me, I close it out, I take the percentage gain I want, and I'm done with the trade. It's just a lot easier to do it like that. Trade management is a very double-edged sword. if you take, listen, there are strategies that people teach you how to do trade management on trades that have gone against you. All right, by just rolling stuff out, taking different strikes, moving things around, just to try to break even on the trade. But you can spend 2 or 3 months trying to turn a losing trade into a break even trade, and it takes a lot of time. Right? So you're wasting a lot of time that you could be using on finding good trades. So as far as I'm concerned, managing trades to that extent is taking away too much opportunity cost for you. You're spending too much time trying to get a stock out to break even. And most of the time, remember, when it's gone against you, you're down money on it, you're trying to adjust for a trade that went against you. You were wrong on it. Take the damn loss and move on to the next trade. Mari says months, sometimes a year. That's right. And there are strategies they teach you. They try to teach you to buy into this kind of crap, where you, if you're down in a trade, you'll never have a losing trade. No, you'll never. You may be in 2 or 3 years, making trades every 3 weeks, checking out commissions on the thing. I just think it's absurd. Absurd. You get if you get an 85% win rate, you got to have some losing trades. Take the losses, move on. You got to have a losing month every now and then. Move on. Don't waste a lot of your time trying to adjust for trades that you were wrong on. And I'm looking at coin. Was I wrong on coin? Yeah, it looks like I was seriously wrong on coin. Am I going to try to make adjustments to coin to try to save the trade? I'm certainly not going to. I don't mean to rant, but I've been confronted with this stuff a lot. Do you take trades when it breaks out of the VWAP only, or also off the EMA? No, I take trades when it breaks off the VWAP, or the 15 or the 8. I'll use it on any of those, all 3 of those, as long as I use those as my stop. It's like the SPY breaking down now. If I was going to take the SPY short here, which you could do, I mean, the momentum's pretty high, but it's coming down. You could take the SPY short here, but you're right at the 15 and the 8. If it closes above the 15 and 8, you get out. You get a small loss. If it works, you make out well. Where can we find the weekly ATM money at the money options? They're in the weekly options. Oh, you're talking about the weekly ATM strategy or the actual options themselves? Weekly ATM strategy, I have a video on, and it requires specific setup, specific criteria. If you're looking for the weekly, what the actual weekly options are, you look at your option chain. It's going to show you them. Joseph, I'm the same way. It's better to sell weekly versus monthly. Would it be the same for daily versus weekly? Well, yeah. I mean, if you're gonna treat it like that, sure. In other words, if you take a weekly and then add up the premium on 5 dailies, 50 DTEs, it's going to come up a lot more than the weekly. Anthony, it would be good if Rightline could lend me an assistant. Yeah, Shai, that's trying to save trades is something that people do when they took too much risk and can't take the loss, or they don't want to be wrong. They're much more interested in proving that I was right on the trade. Look at this. I had this trade on last October, and I just took $1.50 profit this October. I'm not held it now. I adjusted it for a year. What was the 2-cent time spread? That was on Nokia, NOK. That was a 550, sell a 550 this week, buy a 550 next week. You can do it for about 2 cents, 3 cents, something like that. I'm not going to mess with it. It's just too small. Yes, Shai says exactly. I said just accept that you're going to be wrong, and get out. you know, it takes time to find trades and to manage trades, um, and it takes time to do his technical analysis and study these trades. Um, you don't really want to have too many trades on, especially in choppy markets. You don't want to have too many trades on because if you're trying to manage them, you're going to be going crazy. So I just look at the technicals on them, and if I'm coming in on a swing, I'm using the daily chart. I don't even look at the 5-minute chart for the most part. Intraday trades, I'm looking at the 5-minute. I don't even look at the daily chart on those. I do look now. That's not quite correct. Like on the Qs and the SPY, when I'm doing intraday trades here, I got to know where the 8 exponential moving average or where any support level is that it might fall down and touch, because I got to be aware of that, because that's likely going to be where it's going to bounce. That's where this bounced right here. Whoa! But the video for the weekly ATM options, John. Yeah, it's let me get that. I'll post it here for you. Rajul, that's exactly right. Totally agree. Losses are part of the process, and the best thing to do is continue to focus on taking another high probability trade setup versus getting cute on a loser. Getting cute on a loser is going to cost you a lot of time. It'll probably cost you more money. And you know what are you doing? You're taking a trade. If the trade goes against you, and you were bullish, and the trade goes against you, the only thing I can see that you might do in some cases would be to go short. If it's broken down and it's going short, you could take it short. You're not really adjusting the trade. You're just taking on a new trade that's got a different bias to it. Let me see if I can find that video with John. Hold on just a sec. I got a few folks asking me here some things. I put that weekly ATM video link in the chat box, and I'm gonna pop it in your question box as well. John, I'm gonna put that in there for you. Okay, it's in the chat box, and you got it. You should have it yourself. All right, let me see where I'm at here. I probably missed some questions. Okay, so I ranted about not trying to adjust trades that went against you. That's and you know, there are some adjustments you can make. You know, like weekly ATMs. So I can adjust those strategies because of the way they're structured. But most strategies, most of the trades we take are directional, and directional trades, you're either right or you're wrong. Straddles and strangles are not directional. Time spreads are not directional. Weekly ATMs are directional, but they do allow themselves to do some modification because you're modifying them every week anyway as part of the strategy. All right, there's the Qs coming back down again here now. Qs are right on the 8. The 8 exponential on the Qs, 605.53. 605.53, so like within 20 cents of it. So be careful here. We're going to have to see it convince us that it's going to go through this 8 and continue down. Right now, it's been bouncing, same as the SPY has been bouncing. So again, I'm not going to chase it down this way. It's a good setup, but this is where we got support. So do I really want to take a trade where that might be as far as it's going to go? Not me. I'm not going to do that. It says webinar not available. That's interesting. If I didn't get filled in MO, do I think it's worth holding for a bounce, Sean? Well, it's trading right at 64 right now. I think you've got 2 more days to go, so yeah, I would. And let me see why the video is not coming up. It just asked you to register. It came up fine for me.
Hello, traders. This is Dave.
It asked you to put, I think, your name and your email address or something in there. I don't think I have a different one that I can get. Harry, you were able to sign in. Yeah, I just signed in too. It worked fine. If you're a member, you have access to you have access to the videos. Just get the link to all the videos, and you'll be able to see it there. There's a lot of them out there, but you'll be able to find it. Let me give you that link. See if this helps at all. Sylvia, the video came up for you? Okay, good. Good. If you can't get that way, Elias, try this one I just gave you. All right, let me answer some more questions here. Can I explain relative strength or weakness? So, for example, as the market is strong and going up, and you're trading Apple, what do you do in either scenario where Apple is going up or going down? Well, first of all, relative strength or relative weakness is much easier to judge when the market's moving in a direction. So right now, anything that's moving up right now, and that would be some of these, okay? eBay, that's got relative strength. TMO, it's got relative strength. Because this market's moving down. So anything that's now, this has got relative strength on the 5-minute. It doesn't mean it's necessarily got relative strength overall. You'd have to look at the daily chart, etc. But if I look at the SPY right now, and I see the SPY moving down, then anything moving up has got relative strength. IBM, it's got relative strength just in this 5-minute period. All right, I wouldn't say for the whole day it's got relative strength. Like on my TC2000 charts, what I do on my 5-minute chart is I take a stock, and if I take Mo right here, Altria, all right, so here's my price action in Altria, right? This red and green line, this is the SPY, all right? See how the SPY is coming down, moving up, coming down, moving up. Altria had relative strength all morning against the SPY. As the SPY was coming down, it was going up. When it's coming down here, it was going up. Now the SPY is still coming down, and Altria now it's lost its relative strength. It's right back down here to 64.08. So right now it's just kind of trading with the market. So right now it doesn't have any relative strength or relative weakness, right? So if I'm looking at Apple, for example, I see Apple and I look at the market here. All right, so here it is from this morning. Here's the market moving down. All right, market moving up. Apple just kind of moving sideways. Here's the market moving down. Apple's moving down. Market moving up. Apple's moving up. Market's coming down. Apple's moving down. This does not have relative strength or relative weakness right now. This is just trading with the market. Just trading with the market. The market's showing, when it's showing strength, Apple's pouncing. When it's showing weakness, Apple's coming down. So there's no relative strength there. So that's how I look for these trades, all right? And for relative strength, relative weakness is an important consideration. And it doesn't, just because the stock's relatively strong now, doesn't mean it's going to be relatively strong an hour from now. Okay, looking at the SPY again, coming right down toward the 8 exponential moving average. So right now, I'm in a wait and see mode. I'm not going to take anything when the SPY and the Qs are so close to support. And I'm not going to take them long until they bounce back up over the VWAP again. I hope that helps, Joseph, as far as relative strength, relative weakness. How does relative strength? It's at 255. It was $10 extended from the 8. $10. Right? So I look at the ATR here. The ATR is 6. So it's over 1.5 ATRs extended. It was too extended. That's why I took it off yesterday. I said I was going to take it off because I wanted to take profits because it was too extended. Now we're getting a pullback. Is this relatively weak? Not really. Because what's the market doing today? Let's take a look at the SPY. Here's the SPY. It looks very similar, so it does not have relative weakness to the market. It's just trading with the market right now. All right, that's how I judge relative strength over relative weakness. A lot of stocks will just trade with the market, but if you can find a stock that's strong on a day like this, and you get a bounce in the market, that stock is likely going to outperform the market from there on. Doug, the things I've taught you lately have helped a lot. That's good. I'm happy to hear that. Listen, as I mentioned the other day, SPY super systems trades, which are scalping type trades, you have to be able to read price action. There's some skill to it. There is some skill to it. I mean, I set up the video and I was very specific on what to take, how to take it. But you've got to take the market context into consideration, and you've got to be able to read price action, and that takes some skills. It takes some skills. I mean, those of us who've been doing this a long time, it kind of comes naturally after a while. But when you're just learning, it's much more difficult. But the criteria that I set up are critical. But every time that criteria sets up doesn't mean you should take the trade. You've got to take a look at market context and the price action. After you registered, you had the message, Elias? That's very strange. Elias, give me your email address, and I will try to get that video to you. All right. Give an example of reading price action. Now that's tricky stuff. All right. Reading price action. So if I'm looking at the price action here in the SPY, and there it is, goes SPY. Now the SPY right now is coming down below the 8 exponential moving average on the daily. So now we're breaking down. All right. Breaking down. The 8 has become support at this point. It broke through it. It's become resistance. So this is a pretty big sell-off right now. But if I'm reading price action, for example, when I'm looking at price action and I see the market is in a downtrend like this, this is looking at price action. Price action comes up to the VWAP, right? This is telling me that this is a critical level on reading this price action. All right, is this bullish? No, it's not. This is a bounce off the low. But see what happens? It rolls right over again. This is the kinds of things you look for. You're looking for support resistance levels. You're looking for candle sizes. You're looking for wicks and tails on candles. Teaching price action is very, very difficult. It takes a long time to teach price. You have to learn price action. There's an awful lot to it. You know, candle sizes. One of the things we talk about is just don't take one big red candle as an indication of trend. You've got to wait to have some follow through. Is this we gonna continue down from here? It looks like it, but we don't know. We don't know. And if you took a short right here, you're in pretty good shape. But you also got to be watching for a bounce at this point. I don't know. I know you don't use the 20 EMA. I don't. It's popular with some people, and now the SPY is sitting on it. Yeah, listen. There's people use the 20, the 21, the 30. I use the 8 and the 15 and the VWAP, and that's it. All right. Because I know the institutions use the 8, and some of them use the 15, but they use the 8. And obviously the VWAP is very critical. And then the 50, the 100, and the 200 on the daily charts. They don't use the 50, the 100, and the 200 on the 5-minute charts. The reason they work, that's why the 8 works so well, is because the institutions use it and so many traders use it. I mean, I know people that use, the 45-day. Why? Market's still coming in pretty hard here right now. Yeah, and if you put enough lines on your chart, they're all going to work at some point in time. That's my complaint with Fibonacci's. Fibonacci's, people swear by Fibonacci's, but if you put Fibonacci's, you got about 6 Fibonacci lines, and they tell you how good they are, but they show you how it worked when it hit this Fibonacci and turned around and went back down again. But you don't hear about the other 3 Fibonacci lines that went up through to get there. A good idea is if you just take a chart, a blank chart, and draw some random lines on it, and see if it works. And there's going to be times where it's going to say, "Oh, look at that works." You can always go back and find something where that thing worked. But like when I'm drawing those high volume horizontal lines, those are going through multiple levels that had high volume, which means institutions are active at that time. So that's why they have so much validity. That's the whole idea. None of these things work 100%. It's all about validity. All right. Here's the SPY. Went right back off the 8 and the 15. It's right above the 15 right now. See, look at this price action. It broke below it. See how it hit that algo line right there? Bounced off the algo line. Went through the horizontal support, broke through it. Now it's back up to the 15 again, moving up toward the 8. Right? We're getting a bounce right off. That's why it's very difficult to short in here because that bounce was likely to occur. Which is, you can see the big if you're in here short, you obviously have to be out. Buying SMA 200 at any time frame. I was surprising how well it reacts. Yeah, but I've used them before, and I don't find them effective at all on the 5-minute chart. How do I draw those algo lines, John? That's a whole nother story. I can't go into it right now. there are some nuances to it. Basically, I'm looking for candlesticks that have that have wicks and tails or tops and bottoms that stick out from any nearby price action. If you just want a quick example, that's how I draw this. That's how I drew this wedge on the SPY the other day. All right, top of this candle. See how it touched the top of that candle, came right down. Right. This was before this candle here. This is when it was in this trend. Here's the up portion of that algo line. Touch here, and they cross. You see, so there's your wedge. So inside this wedge, what I said the other day was, to get bullish, it's got to break out of the wedge. To get bearish, it's got to break below it. We broke out of it. We get one way up. We're right back down to the support again. This is chop. This is all chop. Now, if we look at the overall trend here, this is all chop. We're not going to be really overall bullish again until we break above this this all-time high, and we're not going to be bearish until we break below this 50-day moving average. So it's a big range. And I'll guarantee you this candle sucked some people in that didn't know that we were right close to the 8 exponential moving average in the 15. They get sucked in and they get trapped because they couldn't get out quickly enough. This is what the danger with getting into a trade when you're much too close to support, which is what I mentioned just a bit ago. All right, let me get some questions. I did send you a link on that weekly ATM, Elias. Let me know if it works for you. Do I think the word considering is the one to provide relief for the market? Considering? I'm not sure what context you mean that in, Rem Kumar. New export controls under consideration against China. Listen, anytime you get anything that's probably what drove the market down right there. I wasn't watching the news at the time, but it's possible that's what drove it down. When you see, let's see, yeah, when you see things like we're considering putting something on, yeah, again, it's under consideration, it's possible. All of those things that the algos read and they react to it. Considering putting on controls, okay, against China. This could have, if that was the news, this could have caused that. This the algos taking the word export controls to China, zip them down. They don't take into consideration the word consideration. Anytime you see anything coming out of China or out of the United States saying that they're considering doing this or they might do this or we're going to discuss it, and the market reacts like this, it's an overreaction. The market is overreaction. Basically, as soon as you see the word consider, just ignore it. It's not happening. Considering putting 100% tariffs on China. All right, we saw that a week and a half ago. We're considering putting 100% tariffs on China. Market collapses, it falls apart, and then it bounces right back up the next day. Considering doesn't mean anything until there's signed agreements. That's the only thing that makes any difference. Everything else is rhetoric, and most of those situations, most of those moves end up being overreactions just like that. And the best thing to do is either don't worry about them, or fade them, or do a straddle or a strangle if you can get a decent price on it. Seems like it's an intentional. It's listen. All this stuff is public that they're talking about, right? You don't know what they're saying behind the scenes, but they put it out there, and it's meant to be. It's meant to impact the conversations they're in, or the negotiations they're in. It's meant to impact those negotiations. So yeah, the market reacts to all this stuff, of course. But to me, for most of the time, it's acting irrationally when the market does that. That doesn't mean that this isn't true. It's true, but it was an irrational action versus what the news was. So, yeah, and maybe they do it to adjust to the market. I mean, I don't know if I worked for the president of China or I worked for Trump, and I knew what he was going to tweet out or what he was going to say. I mean, you could make a fortune off the doing puts and calls and that kind of stuff. It's illegal, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. But they can use it, adjust the market. They can use it to adjust the market. If the market's heading down, a fine example of this was back in April when they put the tariffs on and the market collapsed. All right, and then they paused them a few days later, and everybody said, well, they took them off because the market went down. They couldn't afford to have the market go down. They wanted it to bounce. But the real reason they took the tariffs off was because the bond prices spiked. And the bond prices spiked so much that it was going to be extremely expensive to try to refinance the U.S. debt. So they had to take the tariffs. They had to pause them, right? They just took them right off. So that was a situation where it was manipulating the market to because it was overreacting, but it was doing it based on the bond prices, right? But yeah, they can listen. They can adjust. They can change the market, especially short term on these kind of things. But if you're looking at news and you see the word considering, or we may, don't take it seriously. It's typically a ploy, and it's not going to cause a market drop that's going to continue down or a market pop that's going to continue up. It's an overreaction. Insider trading banned? Yes, it's banned, Jay. It's illegal. But does it happen? Of course it happens. Of course it happens. Listen, somebody's sitting in a boardroom, right, and they know what the earnings are going to be, or in the CEO's office, and they know what the earnings are going to be. They can't theoretically, if they're in office, they can't go out and trade the stock, right? But they can call their wife's brother's cousin's uncle, and and have them trade it, and it's going to be very hard to track it. Of course it happens. If you look at a stock that the news comes out one day on it, and you go back and look at the previous day, and you saw there was 1,000 times more options go through on it the day before the news come out. It's obvious somebody knew about it. I mean, it's clear as a bell. You think DC is full of full-time traders right now? Probably. Could be. You can't worry about that stuff. That's not our job. Our job is to trade what the market is actually telling us. And these are all signals. These are things you read. If this is a news candle, that's why I have the news feed up. I can see what's happening, and then I can make a determination whether it's likely an overreaction or not, which most of the time it is. You can assume that most moves in the market, if they big moves like that, are overreactions. But our job is to just trade the best, highest probability trade setups we can find. We can't control the news. We have no control over the news. All we can control is the stocks we take and the technical analysis we use on those stocks. That's why on a swing trade, something like this on a swing trade doesn't mean anything. A 5-minute candlestick on a swing trade doesn't mean anything. You look at it, what's it look like at the end of the day? Okay, so here's the SPY now after that big flush down, right? See where it is? Right back to the 8 exponential moving average. This was the big flush. This is where it's at. This is what matters. That's why I didn't take it short, because it was too close to that support level. They're doing the same thing we're doing. Yeah, they're trying to anyway. Okay, let me go over to YouTube for a minute. I haven't been over there for a while. I'm sorry. You like the lesson? Oh, thank you very much. You don't think passing on wisdom should be considered ranting? I don't know. Some people consider it ranting. Rick says my rants are gold. Would I exit SPY shorts here? What time was that? I'd say exit them right there. Does IWM have support at 243.50? IWM. My support on IWM is 240.80. 240.80, and I want you to look at something. This is the horizontal support line in IWM. See here, 240.80. Touched it here, broke through it there. Touched it here. This is what you go by, how many touches it's got. Look at how many there are. Look what it did just now. Came close to it here, bounced right off of it this morning. The 50 is just down below that. That horizontal line held. That's because these are high volume lines. That means the institutions are involved in the trade at that level. You watch the whale alerts, Moho, yet? You missed that big red candle due to the phone call. Yeah. This is why scalping is tough. Like I couldn't take this even as a scalp because it was too close to the 8. So my suspicion was there was going to be a pretty big bounce coming when it got there, and I don't know how far it could go down. So that's again, like I said, I don't, as I've said many times, I don't like to sit here and trade with a battle of antacids next to me, and this kind of stuff will do that to you. Listen, we're here to make consistent money over time. Are we going to have some losses? Of course we are. But overall, we make money every month. Last September was a losing month. September 2024 was a losing month. That was the only losing month I've had in 3.5 years. This month we're right on the borderline because we get some bad trades. The alerts right now are up money. The room is down money, but not much. $900 or something. So July we were up 17,000 with 30 wins and 3 losses. So you're going to have, depending on the market conditions, it makes it tough. But when you have market conditions that are chopping around like we've had recently, it's even more difficult, and it's more difficult to take swing trades, which is really hard. Which why I can't send out a lot of alerts, because I can't really send out alerts on some of these really quick trades. It's just not fair to the alert members. They come too quickly. Okay, it's about 12:50. I'm going to grab lunch here in about 10 minutes. Let me see if we've got any more questions. This has been kind of a hectic morning. Okay. So again, I had a nice trade in the SPY today. Really nice big move. I took profits in Altria. That worked out nice. Coin is disgusting. Crypto is falling apart here today. That's just the way it is. ABBV. Yeah. Right on the 8 exponential moving average. Not really impacted by the market much right now. Really pretty tough trading here right now. Other than that big flushing, this is pretty choppy. All right, give me a look for a few stocks for intraday trades, not on the indexes necessarily, but on some stocks. And then I'm going to get some lunch. I'm just going to see if I can get some lined up. Hey, John. Are the numbers from trading the room only, or do they include all your trades using the SPY Super? No, the SPY Super System trades are not included in the numbers that I put out. On webinars, I'll do a recap of my SPY Super System trades, but I can't really use my P&L on the SPY Super System trades because they're very, very unique, because those are the trades I take, and based on the criteria that I see, but I can't call them out and I can't post them, so I can't really include those in there. So they're completely separate. They're not included in any of the numbers. All right, they're separate from the trades. When I say, like, in July we were 30-3, 30 wins, 3 losses. It produced almost 17,000 in profits if you put 2,000 in each trade. Those would be for folks in the room, and a lot of those were on the alerts. The alerts didn't have all those trades, but the alerts were still up about 9,000 or 11,000 or something. But no, the SPY Super System trades. This is a beautiful strategy. It makes a lot of money for a lot of people, but I can't give you numbers on there because I take them, but I can't call them out and post them. They're too quick. Is a SPY Super System long with internals bullish and SPY just holding up? No. It's more the other way around. If the SPY Super System, if the SPY is moving strong, in other words, the SPY is moving up and is breaking up, and the market internals are neutral to bullish. As long as the market internals aren't bearish, then it's a good trade. But I'm not trading off of the internals. Now, I will use the internals if the market's moving sideways and the stock starts to break up and the internals are bullish. Then it's gonna give me more impetus to stay in that trade or to take that trade long, because it's likely that the market's gonna move up because the market internals are telling me that, right? Which they are right now, as a matter of fact. Still didn't get filled on Mo at 80, Alexander. Where is Mo right now? Yeah, it's coming back down. You're probably gonna have to wait on it about a while. Maxim, the big bullish hammer and SPY closes the gap from Friday to Monday. Yep, it did. Which was basically right on that high, that 664.89 horizontal level as well. Did I say 30,000? No, in July, in the room, and this is all, I mean, this is all my webinars. July was our best month this year. 30 wins, 3 losses. It's about 16,800 if you put 2,000 into each trade. Do I draw trend lines intraday on the 5-minute chart? I do not, John. Too many lines. Too much of a mess. I mean, I do look at the candles, and I look for breakouts above and below 5-minute candles, but I don't draw lines on them. The chart would look like spaghetti. 30 wins, yeah, 30 wins and 3 losses in July. It was a good month for us. That's an extraordinary month. Most of the months are typically not that many trades. First of all, usually like 20 and 4 or 21 and 4 or something like that. But and I don't have the numbers in front of me right now. But July was a kind of a standout month. August was a decent month too, and September was okay. We made money in September. October's been a struggle because of the again. If you look at the SPY, and you look what we've been faced with here. We had a nice move early in the month, right here, right, and then this. This makes trading very, very difficult. This kind of a pattern. This is much easier. If I go back and look at July, look at the month we had. Look at the market. See, when the market's trending, it's easy to make more money. We were trading a trending market. All right, we had a little pullback here, and then August was decent, not as much, but trending a little bit. September was pretty good as well. October started good, and then this right here will destroy everything, because any longs you've got are wiped out right here, and then if you were short, you get killed again. We didn't take very many trades this month, and there's a reason for that. This is not good trading price action right here. Market first. Market is critical as being the most important thing on the 5-minute and on the daily. So how do you trade the same SPY super system trades I do? You don't capture the trades when you suggest them. I suppose I will look at the SPY super system video again. Can I send a link to the video if you had it? I put it in the chat. It's not the weekly ATM. Never mind. Yeah, I'll get you a link to the video to the SPY super system. You can't trade the same ones I do. Get in the same way and get out the same way. They're too fast. I mean, watch the premiums on the SPY, right? If I say I'm getting in now, right? By the time I say now, the stock's moved. So all I can do is tell you the setup that is occurring. It's for the SPY super system trades. This is important. They're at your discretion. You have to be responsible for entering and exiting those trades based on the setup criteria that we've defined and what the methodology is. But these are your trades. Because I can't post them and I can't alert on them. All I can do is tell you when I see the setup taking place. Then it's up to you to get in and get out of them. And there is some skill involved with reading price action on this stuff. A gap defined as the difference between previous day's close and next day's opening. Correct. That's what a gap is. Yep. How to trade environments like 2022? Well, 2022, the room opened in January of 2022. That was the first month that I opened this room. And that was the first month of a 16-month bear market, and we had 16 winning months in a row. We didn't have any losing months during that time. All right, and we were short most of the time. But there was, we were doing straddles, we were doing strangles, we were doing some time spreads. Because time spreads don't really matter because it's based on earnings. What you're doing is you're trading a news event to capture implied volatility crush. So it's got nothing to do with the overall market. But we traded very well. We had a nice year. 2022 was nice, profitable. Every month was profitable. 16 months winning months in a row. Some big months, some little months, but all profitable. Trading in a bear market, this is the important thing here. The strategies that we have and how we apply them to the market that we have. So we can trade trending bullish markets, trending bearish markets, choppy markets. We can trade all different conditions because we've got methodologies that we can use and strategies that we can use to take advantage of those markets. And that's not the case with most traders. Most traders have a certain trade. They like to go long. When the market turns bearish, they get crushed, and they don't seem to have enough sense to change their strategy. We try to adjust. I try to take the trade that's set up the best for the market conditions we're in. Let me see if I can find that SPY Super System video. John, I did send you a link for that in the answer there. See if that works for you. That's on the SPY Super System. It's interesting. I have a lot of videos out there, probably about 35, and the one on Hypothetical is the one that gets the most views, like several thousand times. But I noticed the SPY Super System trade does not get a lot of views. I don't have a lot of people viewing it, which is really pretty interesting because it's probably the most effective strategy that I've got for 5-minute trading. But not a lot of people have looked at it, and I think that's a mistake. Is it possible to swing trade in 2022? Yeah, it was possible to swing bearish trades. Yeah, sure. I don't know. I don't have the trades in front of me, but yeah, in a bearish market like that. We trade the best. We're looking for the very best trade. Sometimes you can take a long in a bear market as well, and you can use inverse ETFs to go long. But yeah, it worked fine. Okay, John, you're welcome. You have a link for this video, just going over the SPY Super System. I do. There it is. If you haven't got the link if you have not got the access to my videos, you just call Rory, and I'll send him an email and tell him have him to send you a link to the videos, because you, as a member, you have access to all those videos. And if you've, and when you get the link, save it Save it in a bookmark it so that you can find it later. You know, we're all individually responsible for our own trading success over the long term. Let's face it, I'm giving you the very best information and the best education that I feel I can give you, with the very best videos on how to trade these markets, and I go over them every single day. But in the end, if you want to be responsible for yourself, look at a lot of charts, draw lines on the charts, listen to the videos, learn to become a better trader. All right. The whole idea here is to get to the point where you are successful enough and understand these things enough that if you want to trade on your own, you can. That's where you want to get to. If that's if you're, you know, the main point of this room is not to give out profitable trades. I track all of those, of course, because obviously people who are thinking of becoming a member, they want to see what kind of results you get. I understand that. But I don't think the biggest benefit is giving you the winning trades. I think the biggest benefit is educating you how to trade technically as efficient as possible. Discord people say, you're making it sound like it takes effort. Stop, my ears are bleeding. You don't think if trading was easy that everybody would be doing it, everybody be wealthy? Why do 95% of retail traders fail? Because this is not easy, everybody. This is not easy. Okay, I am going to get some lunch. I feel like I've talked enough today. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. Mojo, you found it? You found the link? Okay, good. What is the SPY super system? Yeah, the SPY super system this is the SPY super system software. All right, this is the software that tells us when institutions are in a trade. This is how we find trades that we want to take, daily chart and 5-minute chart. The SPY super system methodology is using this information with the criteria that I have identified to take quick trades, quick intraday trades off the indexes, SPYs, Qs, IWM, the futures, or any stocks, based on the VWAP, the 15, and the 8 exponential moving average, and my indicators here. That's how the SPY super system is set up, and that's what it is. Okay, everybody, I got to go ahead and close down YouTube. I appreciate you guys here today. We'll see you back here on Thursday. Next week's Fed, by the way. Fed next Wednesday. Earnings next week. All kinds of earnings next week. Microsoft, Google, Amazon. Just tons of earnings next week. Tesla tonight, by the way, reports. All right. And Netflix reported last night and took a pretty big hit. Netflix down today 10%. That's part of what's driving the market down so much. Also, Texas Instruments lowered guidance as well. And they down today. Well, they bounced a bit. They're still down about 6%. So a lot of weakness in the market today. A lot of weakness in the market. All right, everybody. So listen, everybody on YouTube, we'll see you here tomorrow about 11:30. Have a great evening, a great afternoon.